Hey guys, what's going on? It's Eli, back with another review video. The second to last Halloweenish film I'm reviewing, and for this year's list of Halloweenish films, yeah. And as I teased, in the third to last of what the second to last is that I'm reviewing, so you get the point. That's right, I'm of course reviewing Rob Zombie's The Munsters. Yes! I remember back when this was announced, and I remember when, me and with my dad, he tagged along, we reacted to the trailers. I think we probably reacted to one or two. I think we reacted to two trailers. I believe so. Yeah, we did. When this was announced, I remember because, this ought to be interesting. And we all know Rob Zombie, even by name, because he's a rock and roll player. He's directed a lot of like horror and slasher, bloody gruesome films. Even say directing the Halloween remake, with Michael Myers. He has never done before this. He has never done a clean film, at least a film for all ages, you know what I'm saying? But he finally did, and with The Munsters. And not to mention, we all know this, that him and his wife, they are huge Munster fans. I even read this, that, Rob Zombie did a commentary for, I believe it was it was for the Munsters, DVD/Blu-ray release, for its anniversary. Yeah, so, yeah, and, I was thinking that when this was announced, and because I learned that him and his wife, Sherry Moon Zombie, knowing that they were huge fans, I should say, of the Munsters, I was thinking, okay, you know what? This might not disappoint. Besides, they're Munster fans, so how can this disappoint? But when I remember when, seeing the behind-the-scenes pictures, looking at it on IMDb, and, seeing, sneak peek photos, the Munster house being built, literally, and seeing, the cast members in costume from, Sherry and Jeff Daniel Phillips and Daniel Roebuck, if I'm saying his last name right. And when, other cast members were joining in, from Sylvester McCoy, Cassandra Peterson, you name it. And even, some of the, old, Munster cast members. This, I thought that this might not turn out so bad, and this was sounding pretty good. It's got a good cast, and, yeah. Not to mention that, I wonder, if many people thought that this was going to be in black and white. I mean, I would have, would have expected it to be in black and white. But okay, the Munsters have been in color, have had some materials that have been in color. I think maybe when later on, as the Munster show was on, and I think by its next seasons, whatever, it did go to color. At least that's what I recall. I did read this, and actually, I believe I read this before or maybe after it came out, that Rob Zombie was not allowed to shoot this in black and white. And I'm like, well, why not? Okay, if, say, The Artist, the Oscar-winning film The Artist is in black and white and is supposed to be a silent movie, if it gets that, why can't this? Is, Universal unaware? I mean, The Munsters is Universal Studios, I should say Universal Pictures. It is Universal Pictures property. So, I don't know. But I will admit, okay, let me go ahead and, read the story. The story, the description. Reboot of The Munsters that followed a family of monsters who moves from Transylvania to an American suburb. Yeah. So basically, this turned out to be, I wonder, I think, yeah, many people, including myself, we were kind of wondering if this was just going to be a simple Munsters film, I don't know, continuation or whatever, and there was no sign or trace of an Eddie Munster or Marilyn Munster. There was never a cast announcement for who would be Eddie or Marilyn. And it turns out that this film is an origin story of how Herman and Lily met. And I'm like, okay, in my opinion, that's fine, I guess. I mean, if it's good, you know. And again, hence, you know, Rob and Sherry, they are Munster fans. So hopefully this wouldn't have turned into a disappointment. But unfortunately, when this came out, it didn't do that great. But as I record this, I did watch it for the first time, and it can be watched on Netflix, although I don't think it's not really a Netflix original, you know, it's just there on Netflix. So again, I watched it for the first time, and I don't think it was that bad. This is me being honest. Like, this is me talking. Like, I'm serious. I don't think it was bad. I mean, yeah, I know it. I mean, I can't say it's a masterpiece of a Munster film. You know what I mean? But for me, I think it's okay. I thought the casting, like, was the acting, I should say. I thought it was pretty good. I think that, you know, Sherry, Moon Zombie, you know, again, Rob's wife, who plays Lily, I thought she was pretty enjoyable, you know, and I think she tried her best to do a good performance to Lily, and she could never top off, say, Yvonne Craig. And the same goes for Jeff Daniel Phillips. He is no Fred Gwynn. It's obvious. Nobody could, like, any actor who has played Herman Munster, like, in the past Munster products, you know what I'm saying, like materials, that's what I should say, they could never top off the very first and original Herman Munster, Fred Gwynn. What he brought to Herman Munster in the original Munsters, like, he was Fred, okay? And, but I will say, I think that Jeff Daniel Phillips, like, I recognize Jeff. Everybody would remember him best as the Geico caveman. You know, it's so easy, a caveman can do it. He was the caveman. He's done a couple of other stuff where he's in makeup and such, but yeah, the caveman, I know, is one of his well-known like performances, and he even made an appearance on that not long-lasting caveman show that was on ABC, if anybody remembers that. So he was on that, and I think he pulled off a good likeness to Herman Munster, and his performance as Herman Munster, well, okay, first off, since this is a prequel, Herman just got started, you know, because he came to life, and because of, you know, say, these two characters that brought Herman to life, Dr. Wolfgang, oh, hold on a second, like, his full name, Richard Brake, he plays Dr. Wolfgang. Oh, okay, so it's just Wolfgang, because I thought, okay. Oh, okay, so he also played, who I'm going to mention in just a minute. Then there's also Dr. Wolfgang's assistant, Floop, played by Jorg Garcia. He be best known from Lost. Yep, the big guy. So they brought Herman to life, like they retrieved, I believe, yeah, Herman's body. Floop was the one that came up with the name for him, Herman Munster, and they were supposed to retrieve a brain from Ratbone, like that's his last name, but you know, Ratbone. But Floop got the wrong brain, so I was kind of thinking, like, okay, is Wolfgang? It looked like it was obvious Wolfgang was going to be like the main antagonist or something, because he and Floop, they're the ones that brought Herman to life, and something would happen, like, oh, like something like climactic, or, you know, in this, you know, how they would do the climax. You know, you'd say they capture Willie Munster and probably Grandpa, but no, there's none of that, so, you know, so much for Dr. Wolfgang, you know, he could have been the antagonist, but, you know, that's how the movie turned out. Richard Brake also played Orlok, a.k.a. Nosferatu, who appears in this, and Lily is, in the beginning of the film, and when we get the first appearance of Lily, she is to go on a date with Orlok, and later on it doesn't go that well. It doesn't go so well with her dating Orlok, so... And did I mention Sylvester McCoy earlier? Yes, I did, because... yeah, I was pretty excited that, you know, that Sylvester McCoy, a.k.a. the Seventh Doctor, he was going to be in something of the Munsters, and he's freaking Igor. Like, that's awesome. And of course, Igor being in this, like, Igor is Grandpa's assistant. Although that's kind of strange. Like, Grandpa in this, he's credited as the Count. Although, like, I don't know, the Count and Ezra Mosher, if I'm saying the last name right. Well, I guess that's Grandpa's real name, but I'm calling him Grandpa Munster. That is, we all know we all know who he is, and we call him Grandpa Munster. I will say he seemed to pull off a good likeness to Grandpa Munster, and of course he too could never top off what Al Lewis brought to Grandpa Munster. But the thing is that I was a bit kind of wondering, like, what's up with that? Like, he has, like, a mustache, like that. Like, Grandpa never had a mustache. Why does... I don't know. I mean, again, this is an origin story, so, maybe Grandpa did have a mustache. I don't know. Oh, yeah, and I just wanted to... oh, yeah, and by the way, because we do get a couple of other appearances of monsters in here, like, there was the creature from the Black Lagoon that made an appearance in this, and there was also the Wolfman, technically, in this, named Lester, played by Thomas Boykin. Yeah, I got that right. And apparently, because Lester was kind of in on this or whatever. I think if I recall, Lester is probably a relative to, I'd say so, yeah, to Lily and Grandpa Munster. But basically, like, Zoya Kropp, played by Catherine Schell, if I said her last name right, who came out of retirement for this. So, yeah. She's like, gypsy or something like that. Yeah, like, like the fortune teller ball. So, like, there's her, and there's also Bella Kropp, played by Levent Turcoil. I think I got that right. Like, I think, yeah, Bella's supposed to be Zoya's husband, probably, and they want to get their hands on the house that Lily and Grandpa are living in. Like, it's a castle and such. Yeah, and eventually, because, like, how Lily and Herman meet, well, because when Herman came to life, Wolfgang took Herman on this, like show, basically, and, like, unveiling Herman, and, Grandpa and Lily, they were having dinner, and they were watching it on TV, and Lily seeing on Herman on TV and just immediately falls in love with him, and, Herman, like, he's at first, like, just kind of, as the Frankenstein monster would, like, trying to play the piano, he kind of destroys it, and then he starts to talk and, like, basically makes jokes. And that's not what Dr. Wolfgang had in mind and what he was expecting. Eventually, of course, yeah, because Lily goes to find Herman, and they finally meet. Of course, Herman meeting Grandpa Munster for the first time, and in this, Grandpa is not too fond and doesn't approve and accept Herman. That's kind of strange, because we all know what Grandpa's attitude is, even, like, saying the original Munsters. But again, this is a prequel, so... And some montages, where, Herman and Lily doing romantic things, and eventually Herman does pop the question to Lily, asking her to marry him. And, of course, they do have a wedding and such. And the priest, yeah, like the one that marries them, is the Tin Can Man. And remember when I said that two of the original Munster cast members had cameos in this, which being, say, Butch Patrick and Pat Priest, Marilyn Munster. Yeah, they're in this, but apparently we don't see them on screen. For example, Butch Patrick, he is the voice of the Tin Can Man, and somebody by the name of Victor Agree, if I'm saying the last name right, he is the body performance of the Tin Can Man. It's like, what the heck? What? Okay, couldn't you have Butch Patrick have a second, like, part in this? Can't we actually see him on screen? Like, what's up with that? I don't know. And the Tin Can Man kind of reminds me of, like, when there was a time in the original Munsters, there was, like, a robot, like, little boy, basically. That was when Eddie wanted a baby brother, and that's when, I believe, yeah, Grandpa Munster invented this, like, kid-sized robot, like, close to Eddie's height. So, and Eddie becoming jealous. That's kind of like, that kind of popped in my head because of the Tin Can Man. Probably it's not a nod to that, I don't know. Oh, and did I forget to mention, we do get an appearance of Spot as a baby dragon. Like, Herman retrieved Spot from, I guess, I don't know, the sewers or something. I don't know, like in Paris, France, like the catacombs. I don't know. I didn't quite notice that, you know. But baby Spot, again, as I said, we see a baby Spot, and we don't get that much of baby Spot, unfortunately. Like, he's there, and we know that, of course. Like, we see how he became part of the family. So, and as I said, yeah, Herman and Lily, they do finally get married, and I also mentioned Pat Priest. She had a voice. Okay, it was her. She was the voice of the Transylvania Airlines. She was the Transylvania Airlines announcer. Okay. And then Dee Wallace. I almost forgot to mention Dee Wallace. The mother from E.T., the extraterrestrial. She has a part in this too. She does a voice as well. We don't see her on screen, apparently. She is the Good Morning Transylvania announcer. So... yeah, and eventually, yeah, Herman and Lily and Grandpa Munster, they do move from Transylvania to an American suburb, and this is where Cassandra Peterson, a.k.a. Elvira, appears in this, as Barbara Carr. Like, she helps the Munsters, like, find a house for them. Even, like, when we saw in the trailers, like, meeting the Munsters for the first time, she was dressed as a witch, and, like, she, like, faints to the sight of seeing them. And eventually, they arrive at this American suburb. They're kind of, you know, like, it's like a very happy-go-lucky town, you know what I'm saying? And, of course, the house that they go with, of course, is the house on 13 Mockingbird Lane. So, yeah, we see the house finally. Like, close to the end of the movie, we finally see the house. And I remember... because, you know, as I mentioned, like, when this movie was announced and, like, construction was being built, like, for this movie, and seeing pictures of the house, the Munster house being built, and it was for near the end of the movie? That's when we saw it? Like, why? Like, you know, it's just how the movie turned out, so it is an origin film, so I can't blame them. Even, like, say, I think on their first night at the house, like, there's a Halloween party going outside, outside of their house, and there's this costume contest that happens, and they win. And they didn't have any costumes or anything like that. Speaking of which, that just reminded me, there was one episode of the Munsters, and this was, like, in season 1, where they do attend to a Halloween party, and they do dress up. Herman is a knight. I think Lily is dressed as Bo Peep. Yeah, she's got the staff and the bonnet. Yeah, I just now remembered that. That was pretty funny. So, monsters dressed in Halloween costumes. So, but anyways, and then of course, like, one last sequence where Lester shows up, and he does apologize to them, but I think he, like, is on his way to Vegas or something, and he basically, like, gives money or something to Herman, and Herman becomes a millionaire. I mean, I don't know, I can't remember if this had to do, say, with what Herman was doing earlier in the film, you know, where he was, like, kind of doing a performance, you know, singing and such, and that's where Lily would go and find Herman, so... And right before the movie ends, we do get, like, say, the style of the Munsters intro with the classic Munster music, and with Herman crashing through the door, you know, breaking through the door. So we get that. That was pretty cool, and that's the only thing that's in black and white, because, as I was going to mention, yeah, I already did, sorry. As I said, Rob was not allowed to shoot this in black and white, but the ending to it, where it's in the style of the classic like Munsters with the intro and with the music, down, 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 yeah, that's the only thing that's in black and white, and of course it'd have to be in black and white. Okay, like it did turn into color, like when at one point the Munsters did like transform into color. You get my point. But it's a shame, like, this wasn't in black and white, because we all know that the Munsters, that it's well known for being in black and white. But I will give it this, the coloring in this film is very beautiful. Like, it's good coloring, like, I think, yeah, the color really pops, Especially, like, okay, Herman is, I guess, technically not supposed to be green. He's supposed to be kind of, like, light grayish, even, like, say, how in, like, this Munsters TV movie that featured the original cast, like, we do see that, yeah, Herman is a bit, like, light grayish. And the same goes for, I think, Grandpa and Eddie. So, but that's okay. Like, I think for this, it turned out fine with Herman looking green. So, but yeah, and the movie ends, and we get, like, say, end credits of, like, cartoonish kind of versions of the Munsters and the Creature from the Black Lagoon. They're playing instruments in Orlok, yeah. Oh, man, I tell you, the Munsters reboot, by Rob Zombie, I'm sure it tried its best. And I'm sure that Rob and Sherry, they tried their best to make a good Munsters film, and since they are Munster fans, for me, as I said, I think it was okay. Not the best, but it's okay. And I think especially little kids will probably enjoy this, definitely. Because it's for all ages. And how do I rate the Munsters? Good question. Let me see. That's a bit tough. Because, as I said, I thought it was okay. It's on my mind now. I'll give it a 6 out of 10. 6 out of 10 stars for the Munsters. And one last thing. It doesn't matter, like, I mean, I guess for me, I wouldn't consider this being canon to the original Munsters. For me, this could be, like, say, its own piece of Munsters. You know what I mean? I think the same goes for other past Munster materials, like in, I don't know, the late 80s and 90s, like, there was the Here Come the Munsters, there was the Mini Munsters, that was cartoon, and there was a Munsters Christmas special, like, they probably wouldn't be canon to the original Munsters. So, yeah, for me, I just see Rob Zombie's The Munsters as its own thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just another version of the Munsters. It's not in the same universe nor canon to the original Munsters. You get my point. And I'm sure there are those that would think the same thing, too. It's just like, say, with the 2016 Ghostbusters film. You get my point. But yeah, what about you guys? What did you think of Rob Zombie's The Munsters, and what did you think of my review? Leave comments and give this review a like as always. So again, 6 out of 10 stars. I hope you guys enjoyed my review of The Munsters. Thank you very much for watching. More reviews coming your way. They're gonna be awesome. Keep looking forward, and I'll see you guys in the next video/review. And stay tuned. Later tonight, the last Halloweenish film I'm reviewing for this year's list of Halloweenish films. And I think I saved the best for last because it's the return of the Sisters. A bit of hocus pocus. You know what I'm talking about. Stay tuned for that. Take care, and peace out.